Prince Harry sat uncomfortably in the brightly lit studio of The View, his tailored grey suit immaculate, but the tension clinging to him like fog before a storm. The atmosphere had started cordially enough, with Whoopi Goldberg offering a warm welcome and a few light-hearted comments about the challenges of royal life in America, and Joy Behar cracking a dry joke about the paparazzi outside. But beneath the smiles and applause, there was a tremor running through the conversation. From the moment Harry had walked on stage, there had been whispers in the audience, some curious, others skeptical. This was not a neutral space, and Harry, though experienced with hostile press and awkward interviews, was now facing something uniquely American. 5 sharply opinionated women, each with their own agenda and no fear of confrontation, and millions watching in real time. Sonny Hostin took the first swing cloaked in civility, bringing up Harry's memoir and asking if he thought it was appropriate to air private family grievances when the monarchy couldn't publicly respond. Harry, measured but clearly irritated, replied that he had remained silent for years and that his story had always been told for him by tabloids and insiders. This time, he simply wanted the record straight, from his own voice. Sonny pressed, asking if he believed it was fair to his brother William to expose childhood conflicts. Harry, his jaw tightening, said that healing couldn't begin without truth, even if it was uncomfortable. Joy Behar jumped in next, wondering aloud if Harry had traded one form of privilege for another, becoming a celebrity of trauma in the US instead of a working royal in the UK. Her tone was biting, and Harry's expression shifted subtly, eyes narrowing, his reply crisp. If telling the truth about mental health, media abuse, and family dysfunction is traumatic, then yes, I suppose I am. The studio murmured. Then Alyssa Farah Griffin, with the calm precision of a political analyst, brought up Meghan, asking if Harry believed criticism of her was purely racial or if some of it was legitimate, citing their controversial Netflix docuseries and public image management. Harry took a deep breath and said that while no one is above criticism, the ferocity and volume of abuse Meghan received far exceeded anything reasonable, and much of it, he argued, was rooted in structural racism and misogyny that the British press never had to account for. But the room shifted when Whoopi, perhaps playing devil's advocate, asked, "Isn't there a point where this becomes less about healing and more about blaming?" That question, simple as it was, triggered something in Harry. He turned to Whoopi, his face flushed not with anger, but with a kind of exhausted disbelief, and said that blaming and healing were not mutually exclusive. "You don't walk away from a fire and pretend it didn't burn you," he said. "You tell people it happened so they don't get burned too." Whoopi raised her eyebrows but nodded slowly, not fully conceding but giving him the space. But the real eruption came from Sarah Haynes, who pivoted the conversation toward Harry's political involvement in America, quoting his comments about the First Amendment being bonkers and asking if it was appropriate for a British royal, even a former one, to critique American values. That struck a nerve. Harry responded sharply that his comment had been taken out of context, that he respected American freedoms deeply, but that didn't mean he couldn't criticize how those freedoms were sometimes weaponized by media to dehumanize. People destroy reputations or spread disinformation. Sarah pushed back, questioning if Harry, as someone who voluntarily stepped into the public eye and monetized his trauma, had any right to lecture anyone about media responsibility. At this, Harry leaned forward, his voice lower, calmer, more. In cutting, "I didn't monetize trauma, I survived it, and the difference between me and the media is that I don't lie for profit." That line landed like thunder. The audience went still. Even the hosts paused. Whoopi glanced off stage, possibly toward producers signaling to redirect, but it was too late. Joy attempted to lighten the mood, saying, "Well, this is definitely the most intense interview we've done all week," followed by a nervous laugh. But Harry wasn't laughing. In fact, he was sitting back now, arms folded, lips pursed, the look of a man who'd stepped into what he thought was a conversation, but realized it was an ambush. Then Sonny returned to the earlier point, pressing once more about the ethics of publicizing family arguments, asking, "Would you be okay if William wrote his own book about you?" Harry hesitated. If he told the truth, yes. If he lied, no. That answer seemed simple enough, but it only escalated the discomfort. A producer offstage began waving, signaling a commercial break, but the moment was already spiraling. Whoopi began to wrap up, but Harry stood up mid-sentence, adjusting his coat and removing his microphone with an intentional calmness that was more powerful than shouting. "I came here to talk," he said flatly, "not to be dissected." Joy blinked. Are you leaving?" Harry nodded once, gave a small bow toward the audience, and without another word, walked off stage. The camera cut wide in confusion before jumping to commercial. Chaos erupted backstage. Producers scrambled. The host sat stunned. Some audience members clapped, others sat slack-jawed. In the next hour, social media exploded. Prince Harry on The View began trending within minutes. Supporters praised his composure. Critics mocked him. British tabloids had a field day, calling it another royal tantrum. Meghan issued no statement, but a friend close to her leaked to a journalist that Harry had expected a challenging interview, but not a trial. Meanwhile, the clip of Harry walking out racked up millions of views in just hours. The next day, The View addressed it vaguely, with Whoopi offering a diplomatic apology if the conversation got too heated, but doubling down on their right to ask hard questions. Behind the scenes, ABC executives debated whether the segment had damaged the show's reputation or boosted its visibility. Meanwhile, Harry remained silent publicly, but those close to him said he felt deeply betrayed by the tone of the show, especially after assurances that it would be a fair and respectful discussion. Journalists began drawing comparisons to other talk show meltdowns, Tom Cruise on Oprah, Kanye West on anything. But this was different. This was royalty clashing with daytime TV, trauma meeting cynicism, a survivor demanding truth in a space that thrived on conflict. Harry hadn't just walked off a stage, he'd walked out of a cycle, and whether viewers sided with him or not, no one could deny. For those few minutes on live television, America got a raw, unscripted look at a man who had once been born into tradition, and was now, for better or worse, fighting for the right to tell his own story.